How to stay permanently motivated. How to permanently stay motivated. That's what we're going to talk about today. But first, please send your validation my way so that I can inhale it into my body and soul. Send said validation by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell so that you can receive more videos. All other platforms, please like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, scream it to the mountaintops because you love my videos. Okay, how to permanently stay motivated. I don't have the perfect level of motivation. I'm not some productivity robot where every single day goes perfectly well, where I work 12 hours a day without resting and have a perfectly optimized schedule. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But I have reached a level of motivation that is kind of an autopilot default state of motivation. So I don't have to wake up and kind of geek myself up to get my writing done. I don't have to geek myself up or fire myself up to shoot a video. Now, the degree to how productive I am throughout an individual day, that varies. But for the most part, I wake up every day and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to work on my business, my passion, my purpose in some shape or form. Like, I don't think about that anymore. And of course, it wasn't always like that. Everyone has to go through that phase where they're aspiring to do something. That phase where they're not quite there yet, right? We all go through it. So how do you get to that point where you kind of have that default motivation like I do, where things are established, where you get things on kind of autopilot, where you're not constantly having to watch even videos like this to stay motivated? Now, of course, I want to keep people watching the channel for as long as possible. You know, in the future, I will branch out to more things like marketing, like detailed habits and stuff, so that people who kind of graduate beyond the basics have more stuff to kind of look at and interact with. But the goal here isn't to turn you into a self-help junkie. The goal is not for you to incessantly watch my videos and never get anything done. I don't want that outcome to happen. So if you end up not needing to watch my channel, that's great. That would be a win for me. There's always new people who are just beginning that I can bring into the fold, but I want to help some people get out into the world and like do stuff. It's like I've said in other videos, I used to watch motivational videos with like the Rocky theme music montage. Like I used to use inspiration to get myself fired up quite a bit, and it worked. I implemented things after getting inspired, and then it reached a point where things became habitual, routine, ritualized, to where I didn't need motivation to do the same things. So I have 3 steps that are going to help you reach a default state of motivation. Step number 1 is finding clarity. You need clarity in order to move forward. And that's basically what you're looking for. You kind of know what you want to do, but you need clarity and you need things to become really apparent that you need to make the next step. So the process of clarity is really unlearning a lot of your societal scripts. That's really all I talk about on this channel is unlearning the societal scripts. And you want to remove and take away and get rid of the excess in your mind so that the only thing that's left is kind of this idea that like, oh crap, like I need to get moving with my life. You want things to become very evident and clear to you that the only rational, insane choice for you is to move in the direction of the things that you want. And the reason why you don't have clarity right now is because you have a lot of different things getting in your way of having that clarity. You have those societal scripts. And that's why I always talk about the fact of getting yourself right mentally is really a process of brainwashing yourself because you've been brainwashed in the other direction. So the process of getting clarity is really constantly questioning some of those societal scripts and analyzing whether or not they're true. And you do this repeatedly over and over again. You ask yourself questions like, what's really going to happen if I don't do a traditional career and I try something else? Really, really, what's the worst that can happen? Why is society feeding me this messages that I have to be a certain way, that I have to be a consumer, that I have to follow a traditional route? Why are they trying to push me in this direction? What incentives do they have to push me in this direction? Look at the people around you. The people around you who, quote unquote, seem to be following the script. Like, are they happy? Are they happy deep down? Like, you look on the surface and people often talk about, oh, I got a good life, I got a good job, good benefits, I feel great. But then, stare into their eyes a little bit, peer into the aperture of their soul a little deeper and see what's really going on there. It's like, for me, as time went on, as I started to unlearn all of these scripts, I got more clarity. And you'll know that you've gotten clarity in life where you become the minority of people, where you really look around and you're like, wow, a lot of people just don't get it. And you're going to feel a little bit kind of lonely when you have that clarity. When you understand the truth about the world is when you really are going to be able to change. But then it's also kind of lonely. There's a quote from Ayn Rand, and she says something along the lines of, there are a lot of things about life that are extremely self-evident that we've all kind of agreed to ignore. But then when you get clarity is when you stop ignoring these things, right? So even from a young age, I kind of had the mental clarity to look around, and I could tell that a lot of people weren't happy. I could feel the lack of meaning. But then I still meandered around in my life and did a bunch of BS and screwed up my life. And then I got clarity when I got fed up with my situation, and I was like, oh, if I don't do something about the situation, it's not going to end up good. And really, you deep down know that. But the process of clarity, which is what comes from repeatedly kind of watching content like this, is it keeps it at the forefront of your mind. It keeps you from burying it deep down. Like, you want that uneasiness about staying in your routine to bubble up to the surface, so you have real clarity and you're like, wow, this is not going to end up good. I need to do something about this. So keep watching the videos until you get enough clarity to really understand how, at least in my opinion, how dire the situation can be. I feel like the situation of not doing what you want to do with your life and like dying, I think that's pretty dire to me. It's pretty serious to me. I'm pretty animated about that because I think it's important. And get to that level of clarity, and then you can move to step number 2, which is getting direction. Direction only means moving forward. Pick something and do it. Just pick something. You want to do YouTube videos? Do YouTube. You want to write. You want to start a business? Start a business. You want to do e-commerce? Do e-commerce. You want to do art? Do art. You want to start a nonprofit? Do a nonprofit. You want to switch careers? You want to become a nurse? Become a nurse. You want to learn a trade? Learn a trade. You want to become a lawyer? Become a lawyer. You want to become whatever? Become whatever, and pick a direction and do it and stick with it for 90 days to 6 months to a year. Then the next thing you know, 5 years will have passed, and all of a sudden you'll be successful. Pick a direction. Have clarity that you need to take action in your life. B, find a direction to move in and stay obstinate about that path. You can have variables within there. Robert Greene talks about the fact that he knew he kind of wanted to be a writer. He bounced around different types of writing. First, he did like journalist stuff. Then he wrote like movie reviews, and then he wrote like screenplays, and he worked all these different kind of odd jobs and did his writing on the side. But he always kind of knew he wanted to be a writer, and that he kept practicing writing in different mediums, but he always wrote. And then eventually he kind of stumbled upon his nonfiction historical narrative, kind of deep wisdom, insightful version of self-improvement that he does now. But it was always within that lane. I talk about just stay in the lane of your talents. Stay in the lane of what you're good at. Deep down, you already know what you're good at, but you're just a little bit scared. But you can still do things. Take personality tests if you need to. Take StrengthsFinder if you need to. Get recommendations from those. Take an assessment and then narrow it down to some of the recommendations. Pick one of the recommendations and then just go for it. There's no amount of content in the world that will teach you better than actually doing it. I could watch YouTube guides all day long, but it wouldn't help me become better at YouTube until I actually shot the videos. Pick a direction and stick with it. One of the commenters of a video that I shot a while back, they're like, okay, I see that you're practicing what you preach. Your videos are looking better. You're tweaking them every time. But you just got started right away and you didn't worry about whether or not it was going to be messy. Exactly. I decided that I was going to start a YouTube channel. So my first step of starting a YouTube channel was not reading 57 guides on how to grow your YouTube channel. I just opened my webcam, I started shooting videos, and I was moving in the right direction. And then I was like, okay, I like this. So I'm going to get a nicer camera. I'm going to get a nicer microphone. I am going to start learning video analytics and video SEO and all these other things. And I still have a lot to learn. I still probably only know 20% of what I need to know to become a fully well-rounded YouTuber. I still have plenty of things that I'm still trying to learn, but I'm going in the right direction. I'm shooting YouTube videos on an almost daily basis. I know that I'm sticking with this for the long haul. So pick a direction, stick with it, 6 to 12 months. But then after you get that traction point, well, then just hunker down. After that, you kind of learn how to change your life in like 5-year chunks, 3 to 5 year chunks. So once you found that general direction, like just settle in. You're going to be fine. You'll iterate over time and things are going to get better. So number 1 is clarity. Number 2 is direction. And the most important one, after you get the first 2 done, is number 3, momentum. Momentum is everything. Each time you do something, it gets a little easier. And then the more you procrastinate, the harder it gets. Perfect analogy that I use all the time is your health. As soon as you go to the gym, like that first month, just sucks. You're sore every day. You don't feel good. You don't look as good as you wish that you would look yet. You don't magically get that 6-pack overnight. But then the first month, you get the first month done. Second month, it's like, all right, it's getting a little better. Third month, like, okay, starting to notice some changes in your body. About 6 months in, like, you look pretty good. Then after a year, like, you're not like, oh, got to go to the gym today. No, you just grab your shoes and go. Grab your shoes, grab your headphones, go, boom. Hour, in and out, and it's a part of your life now. It's something you no longer think about. And that's the goal of momentum. Momentum gets you to the point where you no longer think about anything. You just do it. You don't have to have this debate with yourself the more momentum you get. But like I talk about all the time, people just quit before they get to the point where they can get momentum. And then you build negative momentum. And that's what's so hard, is the longer you don't do something, use that same analogy. The more overweight you get, keeps getting harder. Because each time you gain more in your mind, you're just like, screw it. I don't feel good about this, so I might as well just eat more and just keep getting more shape, which means you're going to have an even longer road to run, a longer race to run, a higher hill to climb, the more out of shape you get. So then you just get to the point of resignation. And that's really what the idea of resignation is. It's kind of total negative momentum, stagnation, total inertia. And that's why people are so stuck in life. It's just that they are just locked. Like after you fail to do something enough times, it just locks you up mentally. It just puts a lock on your brain where you don't think you can do it. And which is why you have to be shaken out of your patterns quite drastically. Actually, I forgot who I was listening to the interview with, but they were talking about the fact that really often self-help can be quite ineffectual, particularly for people who are older. Because the older you get and the more time you stay locked in a certain paradigm, it's way more difficult to change. The younger you are, it's definitely easier to change because you're still more malleable. Enough things haven't happened to you yet for you to get to resignation. And if you're older, it's going to be a really hard hill to climb, and you have to shock yourself mentally. And this psychologist guy, he was talking about really the one thing that gets people shaken up enough to change is really going through painful experiences. Really, really, really painful experiences. Like, I'll use myself for an example. Even though I was still motivated throughout the process, getting a divorce shook me up and it added pain. But then it kind of took me into a whole nother motivational paradigm. I actually started this YouTube channel as a way of kind of like getting my mind off of things from that. And it sparked a whole new avenue for growth, and learning from that helped me take my motivation to another level where I'm not going to settle for anything, and I'm going to go on all of the adventures I can and get the most out of life that I can after going through that experience. So, if you're not going to have a tragic experience happen to you, you have to cultivate that pain in your mind. You have to cultivate and add up kind of the cumulative low-level malaise that you feel day in and day out, kind of combine that together and make it more apparent. And then you'll build momentum. You won't have that negative momentum. You'll get started, and the next thing you know, things will become easier. It's only something you can really understand until you're on the other side of it. But it's like some of these skills that you have to learn in the beginning when you're trying something new, they seem so difficult. But then a couple years later, it's like second nature. You don't even think about it. You don't even blink. And there's things that you used to at one point like terrify you to death how difficult they were. And all of a sudden, you can just do them naturally. So you build momentum in one lane. And now comes the part where you get to what I call permanent motivation. Since I went through that 5-year cycle of building up my writing career, I now just have momentum in my life. That major accomplishment lets me know that I can tackle other accomplishments. So when it came to YouTube, after having spent 5 years doing the writing thing, I'm like, oh, okay, YouTube, all right, 5 years, I'm on it. I knew when I started the channel that I was going to be doing it for 5 years. And there was no question in my mind that I knew I was going to spend 5 years building it up. And now, since I've tackled that, every new project or initiative, I just think about whether or not I really want to do it. So it's not a matter of needing motivation. I'm like, okay, is this something that I want to do? And then if I decide it's something I'm going to do, then I do it. So once you overcome a major milestone in your life, you build a snowball effect. Why do you think entrepreneurs who start one successful company become serial entrepreneurs and start multiple successful companies? A, they have the money, obviously. Obviously, they have the money to start other businesses. But B, they've been through the trenches. They know what to expect. They know what to do. I was watching a documentary with Tom Brady, and he was talking about like why he kept playing football, and he was basically like, I've been playing for so long, it's like I have all the answers to the test now. I know what I'm doing. Why would I quit now? Now I have the keys to the kingdom. I know how this works. I'm just going to keep hammering at it. And that's kind of what happens. The more motivated you get, the more habits you build, you kind of get the answers to the test. You get the answers to the test in life. When you see a new challenge, like, oh, okay, I understand that it's going to be a struggle up front. I understand that there's going to be technical difficulties up front. I understand that there's going to be frustration up front. I understand that I'm going to go up and down and up and down and up and down a little bit. Then I understand that I'm going to hit an inflection point. Then I understand that exponential growth will come down the road. Like, you understand all those things up front because you've been through that journey. So then it's not hard or as hard to replicate it. Like, you still have to put the work in. I still have to shoot the videos. I still have to shoot all whatever thousands of hours of content that I'm going to shoot in order to get 5 years worth of content to grow the channel. But I'm going to do it. Like, look into my eyes. Like, I'm going to do this. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. And that's the good thing about building momentum. You do decrease your level of doubt. You do decrease your level of imposter syndrome and feeling like a fraud. It doesn't go away permanently altogether. You'll face new challenges, which will be hard and will make you doubt yourself in ways, but you don't kind of have that high level existential level of angst and doubt about whether or not you'll be able to pull things off. So get there. And hopefully this channel, watching it grow, watching the iterative process that will help this channel build momentum, will help you build momentum in your own life. Do yourself a favor. Go look at the very first video that I shot on this channel. Look at how much better this video is. And I've only been doing it for like 5 or 6 months. 5 years from now, it's going to be like some studio quality production. I'm going to have an audience in the background clapping for me and all that. So just stay tuned. Build momentum in your life, and then you will no longer have to worry about motivation. Okay, You 2.0 is the name of the book that you need to go get if you haven't already. Please make me feel great and buy it, because it'll make me love you. In the description below, you'll see a link to pre-order my new book, Real Help, An Honest Guide to Self-Improvement. Go and buy that one too, because it will also make me love you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell, all other platforms. Please like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video.